It is still Affirmed as they come to the quarter pole. He's holding on to a head lead.
They come on down to the 8th pole. It's Alydar on the outside. Affirmed along the rails.
It's Alydar and Affirmed battling back along the inside. We'll test these two to the wire.
Affirmed was able to pocket the first two jewels of the Triple Crown, but would he be able to outrun Alydar one more time in the testing mile-and-a-half Belmont Stakes?
Nobody knows if their horse is going to stay a mile and a half. I think, you know, with Alydar, you know, the way he ran and everything, you would have to think that that was what he wanted. Affirmed, really, you know, his pedigree, you know, wasn't necessary. I mean, you know, saying that he wanted a mile, but, you know, great horses do what they have to do, you know, I, you know, going into the Belmont, like you said, I had plenty of reservations, but yet, you know, I knew heart wasn't going to be the issue with Affirmed, and you know, the Derby had been, you know, we'd won comfortably enough, and the Preakness, I felt, you know, so, you know, I mean, you're going into it with as much confidence as you possibly can have, you know, I'd say, yet knowing that you're going into unknown territory as far as distance and all that.
Tell you what, he was well trained by Mr. John Veach, and he was ready. The horse was ready. The only concern was about making him change strides, making change leads, and he didn't. So we got to be a nose. Steve and I, we know that if a horse turning for home change stride to the right lead, then he's give you a little extra. Alydar never did. And so that little extra that I needed, he didn't give it to me. He, heart-wise, yes, his heart was out there. He was trying. He tried his best, you know, but little things that he should done, like changing stride, he didn't, and it might have cost me the race.
During that 5-week span of the Triple Crown specifically, is it tough to keep your mind on the other races you're riding? I mean, this is such a kind of a momentous thing going on between the two of you. Is it tough to concentrate on the third race, or is it tough to keep up the friendship
I won't
the
say
same way?
No, I don't think so. I think, see, we have a pattern. Every race that you go out now to ride, you got what we call it the Bible, which is the racing form. So we started the racing form, and you go out there to the paddock to get instructions. You know what you're doing already. You don't need the instructions, you know. Of course, you're getting paid to ride the horses, so you're going to have to listen to the trainer or the owners. Right. But I want you always concentrate when because you go over the race that you are riding at the moment. Right.
I think the other races actually help you relax a little bit. You know, it keeps the focus off of the, you know, in the back of your mind it's always there, but you know, that's like a rest from thinking about, you know, what's coming up. You know? The longest time in my life ever was the 3 weeks between the Preakness and the Belmont, because the pressure, as you say, I mean, I was being interviewed in Australia, Japan. I mean, people were following me into the the restroom. You know, I was like, whoa, hey, this is where it stops. You know, and but it was the same for Georgie too. I mean, you know, they're all. It's like, you know, what do you think? Okay, this happened in the Derby. This happened in the Preakness. How are you gonna change it? How are you gonna change it? How are you gonna pull it off? You know, it's like, you know, it starts to wear on you. You know, you start, you know, if you got a little bit back off from it, or else it gets into your, you know, your 24/7 focus. Sometimes I wonder if you know, I was too young and dumb to know the difference. It might have been a blessing. I don't know, but it was exciting, and yet, you know, pressure filled, especially leading up to that race. You know, I mean, it's not like there was a lot between them in any other races. It's not like we're talking like we got to make up, you know, 5 lengths or figure out how to figure. You know, it's like one small mistake. One little thing can switch the thing either way.
One thing I did want, Mr. Veach took the blinkers off before the Belmont. Yes. Mm-hmm. What was the reasoning there, do you think?
Well, he was looking for, because it's a mile and a half, to make him relax and make sure that he was looking to do better. And going a mile and a half, sometimes the blinkers they get the horses a little bit too sharp, and and they kind of run away from you in the beginning and all that. But it make no difference really. You try with the blinkers or without the blinkers. He was just a nice horse.
It was a 5-horse race, and the only other horse with any Darby Creek Road, the other two were just filling the gate, and I mean the thing really was with me. Alydar was drawn in the inside of me, so I knew my horse was going to break good, and I knew I was able to sit, off of the fence a little bit. I didn't want to, which tends to relax a horse, When you're off, it's like, are we going for a gallop or are we working? Usually when you're dropping that. So I kind of stayed off the fence, but I knew, because I knew Alydar really wasn't in love with the inside anyway. So I'm sitting here.
You're planning a trap for me, huh?
No, just like, if you want to go in there, go in there, But like, I'm just, I know I can relax, and I know eventually, if Alydar is going to come, he's probably going to come around me. So
see right there, going to the turn, Steve left a little hole in there for me to go in there. I don't want to go in there. I do not want to be in a position for him to get me in a trap. So it's only a 5-horse field, and that would have been ridiculous if he got me in the trap all the way. And so I make sure that I turn, make the turn, and then on the backside I come out for the drive.
When you say get you in a trap, you mean keep you very close into the rail, or
yeah, or tight, or
which is intimidating. And the other thing is, in a small field, when you're going no pace, and they're all bunched, it can stay that way. The horses don't break up. So, amazingly, in a small field, you can stay trapped long enough to where it costs you the race. I knew where he was in the break, so I knew he's down there at least to start with. And I'm like I said, I don't mind if because I know the horse. I've ridden against him enough. I'm thinking I don't think Alydar really wants to come up on the inside anyway. That's not his happy place. So eventually I don't think So I figure, and part of the reason too is I'm keeping my horse off the rail to keep him relaxed. Just like say, hey, we're out here for a gallop. We're not racing. We're just galloping. Trying to keep him relaxed as long as I can, not wanting him to keeping him switched off so that that he can get home.
He was a big horse, and I prefer the outside than the inside. 25. I said, come on, Stevie, man. Come on, Stevie. How can you go so slowly now?
So I was able to, like I said, we were able to go the first quarter slow, the first half slow, and then eventually, Georgie got Alydar where he wanted, and he came to start pushing the pace.
Alydar won't settle for that and moves alongside, and it is Alydar who's going up now to challenge that pace.
See, watch Stevie's hands. See how comfortable he's gone, and look at me outside. I'm not sitting there. I'll say, well, let me put a little pressure on, because I find out right away the first quarter in 25, and then now in the second quarter we went 24, if I'm not mistaken.
So
was a little better.
And
then see, we went 25-50. So we went the second quarter and 24. And see right there, look at my hands.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to you.
We're going slow, and it's like like I said, they're trying to. You gotta didn't work. The other ways didn't work, so you tried another. Hey, we'll run him into the ground.
My opinion was that he's the horse to beat, and he's in front of me. I gotta go get him. So let me put the pressure on, and this is a mile and a half. Let's see who's who in America. And he got me anyhow.
But again, this is the great, blessing that I have with Affirmed, is that when he came to me, it wasn't like I had to go. He's still relaxed. And I'm like, okay, let's look at each other for. I'm not going to let you push me too much because I don't want to go yet.
I was happy to come up to him and increase the pace. I just want to be that competition. I just want to make him run for his money.
Eventually, the race has to start taking place. As long as he didn't push me too fast, I was happy to sit there. But I wasn't. If he had tried to push me much further, I was actually going to say go ahead. I didn't want to. The thing was again, just like I don't think he wants to go on the inside, I don't think he wants to go to the front 7 furlongs out, Alydar. So I'm thinking I'm willing to sit here and let's bide our time, but the race is eventually going to happen, And we start, so then it's like we start quickening around the turn, and he's there, it's really at the stage where we kind of just before we're getting in the stretch, I mean, the horses have been quickening, and it was at that stage where I could kind of feel a little bit of fatigue, like the Affirmed was like, like this is, it's not like I got a lot left, and not like I felt in the Preakness, like he's pressing me.
I was coming on, but I still have to save a little horse for the end, so I couldn't just ask my horse for everything he got,
Right.
So I was aware that still we're coming to the quarter pole, and so I was going to the half a mile pole. I'm working on it little by little, but I didn't want to give me everything that he got. So
Alydar kept digging in, kept fighting. I think maybe for a second he did get his head in front. But that day when I actually did hit him left-handed, it felt like he just kind of, Affirmed just got his head back in front to where, and at that point, it felt like he wasn't going to let him by,
When your horse is running in the wrong lead, like Alydar was, it's kind of hard to get real close to the other horse because he's got the tension. Yeah, you got the tension to drift out instead of going in. So to be able to do that, I have to pull him back in, and I want to make sure if I don't bother him. I want to crowd him a little bit, but I don't want to bother him. So, and the Belmont Stakes, I thought I really was going to beat him. And right about there, right now, I'm like, I'm in trouble. He's going to beat me again.
You think so?
And
even as close as
I'm
it
working
is.
on Alydar, whipping and driving and everything else. And when Stevie hit left, and I can see his horse like responding. He kind of wake up, and he's not letting me go by, and we passed the wire, and he beat me on nose, big nose. But he did beat me. I said, oh no, again.
I was one relieved puppy at that point.
Yeah.
You both know.
And then the man,
What did you say? Did
about
you say
two
when
strides,
did you first
he
start?
congratulated me.
I said,
a few strides
"Congratulations,
after,
Steve."
yeah, he was
Right after.
right after, yeah, right. But 2 strides later.
Because I know he beat me. So I said, congratulations, Stevie. I wasn't too happy about it, but
But he was very classy, real classy.
I was hurt. Deep down inside, my heart was bleeding. But I have to say, congratulations, Steve. He rode a great race, and he won the Triple Crown. Hey, any rider would love to be in that position.
The greatest thing about the whole thing was I think it was a great thing for racing. The great thing for racing was that you had 2 great teams, the Alydar camp, and the Calumet camp, that were great trainers on both sides, great, top jockeys on both sides, great owners on both sides, and nobody was fighting. We were out there. It was the real sportsmanship still was the main thing. Both sides wanted to win, and the great thing was that they were great races every time. The Derby was a great race that left a lot of people thinking, well, can Alydar do it next time? The Preakness, same thing. Finally, another mile and a half, the Belmont, is it what's going to happen this time? And the horses came back every time and gave their best. They were there each time. They were thrilling races. Like you said, the build up to the Belmont was like unbelievable, and yet it was, it wasn't like an anticlimactic thing. It was the race was greater than you could ever imagine. And so I think it was just the thing that at the end of it all that I was the most proud of was that this was great for racing. This attracted millions of fans around the world to the sport. Everybody conducted themselves in a very positive, in victory and defeat. It was a win-win for everybody. There was no loser.
16th hole. It's Affirmed.